Yes, people, and welcome back to the Red Pitch Podcast. Now, before I continue, as always, like, share, subscribe. It's going to be a good one. Let's get into it. Drum roll. Yes, some breaking news. Arsenal have agreed a deal in principle to sign Kai Havertz from Chelsea for 65 million. Now, according to David Ornstein, Arsenal have reached an agreement in principle with Chelsea to sign forward Kai Havertz. Deal for the 24-year-old German international is worth around 65 million. Personal terms are already in place. Attacker's medical will follow in due course. Now, as you've probably seen before, I've done my video on Kai Havertz. A lot of Arsenal fans are not happy with this signing, but me personally, I'm all for it. As you know, Havertz can play in a number of positions. He can play as a 9, he can play as an 8, he can play as a 10, he can play as a 7, he can play as 11. Now, as we know, Mikel Arteta, he loves his versatility in all his players. So this is just another one, he performed well. He's probably the best performer in a poor Chelsea team last season. And I feel that in our system, there's nothing that, will not stop Kai Havertz from excelling to the heights that he once was at Bayer Leverkusen. And he's like us, he's only 24. He's going to get better. Arsenal fans, stop complaining. Trust me, it's going to turn out to be a good signing, I'm telling you. But I'm not really going to get too much into Havertz. Obviously we know this is going to make him one of the highest paid players in the team. We're only paying around 50 million per season. That's the wage structure they've sorted out. Come on, guys, be happy, right? But listen, next, we're going to get into another player who, for me, class, quality, young, and that's 22-year-old Jurrien Timber. Predominantly centre-back, but can play as a right-back as well. He can do the inverted thing that Arteta likes, and he's starting to, change his system towards and base it on that. He made 34 appearances last season, scored 2 goals, 2 assists. He's not the tallest, but he's really aggressive, and he can play, like I said, at right back. He's very vocal, and in the future, who knows, he could be a captain. He's got the potential to be a captain. Again, when I've watched him play, he's at the back, he's shouting instructions, and even the older players seem to take what he says on board. So he just seems very comfortable in giving out orders, and that's brilliant. We need someone like that. Now, he's brilliant in one-on-one positioning. He stays on his feet. Great stats. He's won 73% of defensive challenges and close to 250 interceptions. For a 22-year-old, people might say, yeah, it's the Dutch league, Ajax, etc., but for someone of his age, this is great numbers. And this isn't, like I said, it's not always about stats, because we know it's not always about stats, but whenever I've seen him play, I've been impressed. There's a reason why Erik ten Hag wanted to take him to Manchester United with him as well. He's that good. He's a quality player, right? For me, I would say his biggest strength, probably progressing the ball forward, making forward runs, and giving the attackers in the final third an extra option out on that wing as well. He's just brilliant for me, and I think we were looking at around 38 million with around 10 to 15 million add-ons. For someone of his quality, I think that's a decent price. We can't go wrong. you know. So let's get him, man. Let's get over the line. Let's get another one over the line. Keep going, man. Next thing we're going to get into is that of Thomas Partey. Now, again, according to David Ornstein, Arsenal and Thomas Partey camp both working on potential exit solutions if suitable opportunity arises for a sale. Interest from clubs in Saudi Arabia and AFC considering options would require a replacement in addition to the Rice pursuit. Now, me personally, I would want Thomas Partey to stay. Reports just come out saying that an unnamed Saudi Arabian club is willing to pay only 40 million euros and pay that in installments, which I think is ridiculous. You know, I think we can get at least 55 million euros for Thomas Partey. Try and recoup the money we bought him for. I think that's the best option. Me personally, like I said, I wouldn't sell him. I'd want to keep him. But if the club feel that it's the right time for him to go, just turned 30, 2 years left, you know, what can we do? They must have a plan in place. And speaking on Thomas Partey replacements, there's been someone on the tongue and the lips of every journalist in the last week or so, and that is 19-year-old defensive midfielder Romeo Lavia from Southampton. Now, for me, he would be a perfect replacement for Thomas Partey. Even though I'd love Partey to stay and for him to nurture under Thomas Partey, I still think if Thomas Partey did go, Lavia could be the one to come in and do that job. He's got tons of Premier League experiences. He's been playing in the country for a good few years. Obviously, he was at Manchester City before playing under 23s. He was mainly used as a 6 for the under 23s. He's then moved to Southampton. He's had a brilliant first season personally. Like his ability to retain the ball in build-up phases, his ability to play progressive passes to the more creative players like in the final third. Now if you check this heat map as well, it shows his willingness to be on the ball in both halves while staying central, giving his teammates around him option after option after option. He's predominantly right-footed, but I've seen him in tight spaces. He can manoeuvre out with his left foot with ease, so that shouldn't be a problem. You know, he handles pressure well. His dribbling abilities and his acceleration to get away from defenders is just second to none. It reminds me of a Kante type thing. You know when Kante used to, you know, when he gets the ball and just accelerates from someone. That's a similar thing that Lavia has. And even like his awareness, his spatial awareness. When you watch him play, he's always looking over his shoulder, you know, and it's like he's always got to be one step ahead of everyone else and getting into that space where no one else is in. So he's giving all the players around him options, you know, he's always making that space. So for me personally, I think Lavia would be a brilliant deal. I think Southampton are asking up to around £50 million. I reckon if we put in a bid for around 40 plus about £5 million add-ons, 45 all in, I think that should be enough to get Romeo Lavia over the line personally, right? Now the last thing I want to get into before we do go on a break is that man Declan Rice. Obviously we know yesterday Arsenal offered 75 million plus 15 million in add-ons. West Ham said no, they're still holding on for that £100 million fee. Arsenal, just pay it. Just pay the money. We know Granit Xhaka's going. Rice would be perfect replacement for Granit Xhaka. Yes, we know it's a lot of money, 100 million, but it's worth it. We know the English tax anyway. We know the English tax is a lot. It's out of this world. You look at the Grealishes, you look at Jude Bellingham. If we was to sell Saka tomorrow, Saka wouldn't go for less than 120, 130. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think when it comes to English tax, we know we're going to have to pay these fees. And Rice, is definitely someone I can see playing for us for the next 5, 6, 7 years to come. He could be a big part of, integral part of the future. So Arsenal, Edu, Richard Garlick, pay that money and get this Rice deal over the line. Get it over the line because we need him. Now, we're going to go to a break, but when we come back, I've asked some of you to send in your videos and just give me your views on maybe your club's transfer window so far, or another club's transfer window so far, just anything you want. So, yeah, keep them coming. The address, if you want to participate in this, is the redpitchpodcast@gmail.com. Send me all your videos there and I'll put them up, we'll talk about it, and yeah, let's get into it. So we'll see you after the break.
Doing a quick breakdown of the summer transfer activities for Liverpool, the incomings, and a few who notable have been watching. At the moment, Thuram is looking the next one in. By all accounts, everything is agreed. The fee is near enough done, between 35 to 40 million for him. The rest of our incomings are at the under 21 euros, so we may have to wait for a few of them as well. Mane Kone is being watched by Liverpool at the moment. He's another midfielder being identified by Klopp. Also, Ryan Gravenberch is another midfielder that's been identified by Klopp who'd like to be brought in. My preference would probably be Kone. I think he's more combative and he's a number 6. He could learn off Flacco, which would be good. Also, we've been told we've been looking for a left-side centre-back. Again, another player who's at the under 21 euros at the moment is Van der Ven, I believe his name is, left side centre back. He's pretty quick from what I've seen, so hopefully those will be the new incomings at the club.
You know what? I think this transfer window's been kind of mad. Obviously, we've seen like Arsenal sign Kai Havertz today. Whoop-de-doo, I'm buzzing. Nah, to be fair, it's been a decent window for a few of the teams. I feel like United are struggling to sign players at the moment because obviously they've got the whole takeover stuff going on. Spurs are having over certain fares and whatnot. They've got the David Raya thing. But the one that sticks out to me at the moment is Newcastle. Like, just before I come on here, I'm seeing they're signing Sandro Tonali for 70 million euros. Quality player. Like, I have been screaming this guy's name for a long time. And I'm not to say, like, obviously he's going to be the next Pirlo or whatever. But I feel like with him, he's going to add such quality to that Newcastle midfield. Him, Guimaraes, Joelinton, which I think they'll upgrade him in terms of pushing him forward and taking him out of the midfield. But looks a good midfield. That pivot is going to be a bit mad, and I really think this is the beginning for them. Like, we've all been wondering about when they're going to spend the money and go big in the window, and this is the first little bit they've done here. So let's see. But yeah, I think the window's warming up now. You know, the Arsenal Rice bid's been going in, and other things, Mount as well today from Man U. So yes, steaming up. And Liverpool, I think they said McAllister, still linked with Kone and Thuram. So I'm sure over the next week or so, when the players, you know, they start making their way back from, you know, holidays and whatnot, we're going to see a lot more done.
So yeah, this is my take on the transfer window thus far. I believe it's been a quick start by a couple of teams, you know, namely Liverpool with the McAllister deal and Chelsea with the Kovacic deal. And now Arsenal, who picked up Kai Havertz this afternoon. I mean, obviously pending medicals and stuff like that, and, you know, regular paperwork. But it seems like it's a done deal There's Fabrizio Romano, you know, he reported it. So yeah, it's looking good. I mean, a lot of the Arsenal faithful are up in arms, obviously taking another Chelsea player. But I believe that Arteta can get a tune out of Havertz. I believe that, you know, that there's a good player out in there, and I feel that played in the right system, he should do bits for Arsenal, I believe. And Chelsea, on the other hand, are making news in terms of the amount of players that are outgoing at the moment. All going to Saudi Arabia, apparently, the ones that are at the end of their contracts. So, you know, that squad is going to be trimmed down very quickly. But, you know, I'm not sure if they're doing it in the right way. But let's see what happens. It's going to be interesting. And I'm looking forward to this transfer window, because now that we're in the Champions League this season, I feel that, you know, that we have to bolster our squad. And the only way that we can do that is by buying, if not the best of the best players, but definitely ones that are going to make a significant difference. So yeah, let's see what happens.